Alright, Richard in Pennsylvania, I got your new Lincoln 2 Plus here. So I've already converted it and aligned it. I guess some guys like it when you say tuned it. I don't really ever say tuned it, but you know, I guess it is what it is. You align it, you set it up for good modulation at all modes and stuff. So I guess you could, in the CB world, a lot of guys understand the word tuned. I don't know what you get with other places when they so-called tune it, but I like to align it. So I'll use my equipment. That's why I bought it. But right now we're going to do the frequency alignment on this thing. So we're in the service mode, and I absolutely don't recommend going in here without equipment because you can really mess up the radio. You can make the PLL unlock. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that the radio is functioning properly. So this is how we adjust for proper frequency. So the frequency that we're looking for is going to be 27430. That's what this radio will change over to when we transmit. So we want to make sure that when we get it there, we're as good as we can be. So right now I'm just playing with it a little bit. It's plus or minus 20 usually on all these kind of radios. So let me actually put that lid on. And what I mean by that is plus or minus 20 hertz, which is literally nothing, but you know, we want to make sure that we are getting close. And when I mean 20 hertz, it's here. This is 9.3. We want to say 0.0. This is actually within spec, 20 hertz. That's actually less than 10 hertz, but for the sake of argument, I want to get as close as I can. And you just do that simply by playing with that number until you see about like that. And that's perfect. So don't need to go any farther with that. These covers are driving me nuts. The radio is pretty much done. I should have just put the screws in. I'm not going to yet though. I guess it would be easier if I just set it on its stand. So there we go. So now we're going to do upper sideband. So on this mode, we want to see essentially 27431 when we transmit. So because we're putting a 1K tone into the mic socket, so whatever frequency we have, it'll increase by 1K. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So we're plus or minus about 21 to 25 hertz right now. It's really not that bad, but we want to make sure that we get it as close as possible. And so I think if I do that, it's going to increase the frequency. And actually on sideband, I can leave it in the adjust mode. Now, just because you see these numbers on this radio does not mean that your radio, someone else's radio that they may have, is going to have the same number. I highly doubt that it will. So there we go. There is good. So that's 3 to 4 hertz, which is perfect. And now we'll go to lower sideband and do the same thing. Now on this one, we want to look for 2729900. I believe. Let's make sure I said that right. Yeah, 29000. So we're within 8 hertz. Can make that just a little bit better. And there we go. 27.429000006. Whatever. We're plus 5 hertz, plus 7 hertz. That's nothing. I mean, we're right where we should be with sideband alignment. So that's perfect. What I'll do now is switch the radio off and back on. It's in 28 megahertz right now. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to show you the mode is on R and T, so I'm going to show you how that works. You don't have to run it like that, but I'm just going to demonstrate it for you. Whoops. I think I had that one in memory only because this is the alignment frequency for the radio. So, oops, we don't want that right now. So there's our transmit frequency again, right where it should be. A couple hertz difference. It doesn't change the frequency on AM or FM, but it will on sideband. So here's USB. So I'll show you that. So we want to play with this just a little bit to get this right on the frequency, which is about there. Okay, 28001 is what we want, because 1 kilohertz. So you can see it's always going to be just a little off 12 o'clock because we are an R and T. So in this mode, you're going to tune to what you hear, and what you hear sounds natural. You'll be transmitting and receiving right at the same level. We'll go to lower. So now it should drop to 27.990. Hopefully I said that right. There you go. The same. So you can play with it. Watch what I do. You can see if I move it, it goes up quite a bit. That's full to the right and then full to the left. So and obviously it's easier when you're listening to someone talking that's on a good quality radio. A lot of guys are running fancy HF radios on sideband, even on the 11 meter band. So obviously, you know, when you hear somebody on a really good radio, you're not gonna have any problem tuning them in. So again, plus or minus 20, I mean, you can dial it. We are just slightly to the right here as well. It's just the way the radio is designed, but it doesn't make a big deal. So now I'll switch that mode off. This is memory 1 for whatever reason. That's again what I put there, but I'll switch that out and go into menu, and we'll switch that to R only now. So now this is just a receive clarifier. I'll show you the transmit frequency there as well with just the alignment part done. Get that to stay transmitting. If I can. There it goes. So again, 28001. There's plus or minus 20 hertz. We're about 10 hertz. No big deal. If someone's going to complain to you about 10 hertz, tell them to go shove it, because I mean, this is a crystal controlled radio and 10 hertz tolerance is excellent. So here's lower sideband, so it'll be 27.990. Again, I'll get better at that the more I say it. So oops. Okay, perfect. Right on the money. So, you know, and then this is going to be your receive clarifier. So you can see as I turn this, it doesn't do anything. Not changing the transmit at all. So this, probably a lot of guys would like this way too, because then if somebody is off frequency, you're not shifting to them. So you can run it either way. It's up to you as an operator. That's why I like these radios a lot. And then AM transmit. So it's plus or minus 20 hertz. There's about 15 hertz, 14 hertz. So right within spec, no big deal. I think we'll be good. So let's show you a couple things here. I want to go back into the menu. I'm going to go to band. So you have these bands. They're not really in sequential order, but it doesn't really matter because you can use this button. I mean, these radios have been out for a long time. I was just able to grab some new stock on them. You can see you can just use this kind of like as a VFO per se if you want to. I guess it defaults to band A. What I'm going to try to do is name that for you if I can. I'm not sure if I can, but I'm going to try. You don't want to do a reset. If you do, then you have to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the radio will reset back. Roger beeps. 2510 and 100 milliseconds gives you that little HR 2510. Sun and Roger beep. This is talkback right here for those who don't know. Timeout timer, actually shut that off. SWR protect. I'm not sure what that's set from the factory. Oh, I actually set it to 2. That might be a little too low, but you can obviously change it if you want. I think it'll go through the motions here, and then it should go to like 3 or something once you get to a certain point. There's 1. Maybe it maxes out at 2. Okay, well this might be a little more protective style radio. There is a software for this that I could quickly put on here. Yeah, I think 2 is the limit on this, but maybe no, I think actually that's 20. I think that's 20. So obviously 20 is not going to be acceptable. So we want to make sure that you know, that it doesn't have that high of a threshold. But you know, that's basically no protection at all. So I got guys that are blowing up my phone today. Like I've always said, I apologize, but I'm not good at taking calls, especially when I'm working with radios and doing customers' orders. It's just not my forte. So please, guys, if you want to get a hold of me, the best way is always text or email. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure that one out on the software because I'm not sure exactly what I'm seeing there, but I don't want to send it out where it's not right. So we'll come back to that. Volt protection. DC high, low, 17 and 9. It's pretty self-explanatory. Where's that band option? How do we name the band? And maybe we have to do that in the software also. So yeah, I think we have to do that in software. So I'm going to load up the software really quick on my computer, and then we'll just take a quick peek at what that's going to do for us. I won't really show it, but I'll do what I want to do to it. I just want to make sure the SWR protection is set to at least 3. And I had seen somebody that had this band A named, and I don't know if I can do that. I saw it on a YouTube video. If I can, I'm going to try and name this CB, just because I think it would look cool. And then I'll come back and kind of show you the power output and stuff really quick. Okay, really quick, here's the software. You should be able to find this online somewhere and download it for yourself if you want to. I'm going to see about, I did put the SWR Protect to 3. I'm going to leave these about the same. Don't run it at 9 volts. I mean, technically, that should be like, I mean, if you're running this in a vehicle, it's probably best to leave the vehicle on. I know guys sometimes use batteries and stuff like that, so I'm just going to kind of leave that alone. But the radio won't perform at 9-10 volts. It's just, you're not going to get a good performance out of it, so just be aware of that. I'm going to see if I can name that band. I'm not sure if I can or not. Indicator on display will be SWR. Obviously, I'm going to try to set the other things like I already have it with the Roger beep and all that stuff. I'm going to make a save file for this. Alright, so what I did is 3. I increased the voltage to 11. If anyone orders one of these and you don't want CW and PA, just let me know and I can uncheck those 2 boxes. Then you'll never have to cycle through them. If you're never going to use FM, I can switch that off, or you can do it yourself if you have a cable. You don't need a special cable with this radio. Any cable for any other radio that you might have, Anytone, Striker, CRT, whatever you might have will work. It's the same cable, so just be aware of that. I'm going to see about changing the band name still. I don't know if I can do that. Okay, so I don't think I'm able to change the band name. I did set the voltage to 10 and 16, so that's probably where I'm going to leave these radios. There is this group name that comes up, and it looks like you can rename stuff, but when you try, it only lets you put 1 letter in, so I just don't think I can do it. I don't know how that guy did that. He must know something that I don't. So anyways, I'm going to send this back to the radio, and it's real fast and quick on this radio to do that. So that part's done. Alright, we'll come back. And I thought there would be a way to do it, but unfortunately there's not. So now, let's quickly check the transmit on this. Okay, so on the transmit, all the way up it's about 8 watts or so. And then all the way down it's about 1 watt. So we'll test it at 1 watt first. This is about 92% modulation at 1 watt. And as you raise that carrier up to about there's about 96, 97%. And the carrier is about 4 watts. So you can see what the PEP is doing there, about 20. And if we lower it back down to 1, PEP is about 4. So it's about right. I don't think many guys will be running this at 1 watt carrier, but you know, and if you turn it all the way up, audio is about 98%, and you have about 37 watts of PEP power from an 8 watt carrier. So not too bad. This is definitely a good AM radio. They have a really good audio, good modulation. Obviously, I think the KPO mic is a good combination, but you may have a favorite mic that you run. I don't think the Digimic is compatible with this radio. I've heard mixed reports. I personally wouldn't run it with this radio, so that's just my advice. I don't think it is. I mean, whether it works or not without modifying the Digimic, I don't know. But if you have one, I personally wouldn't recommend running it with this radio. If you don't want to run another mic, just run the mic that comes with it. Run this mic. This is mine here, but I'll show you really quick the PEP power with the microphone. You can leave your microphone gain all the way up on the front. That's the nice thing about this. You got pretty much everything you need right on the front, so you don't have to go in menus and all that stuff. You can turn echo on and off. You can set the echo. You can do all kinds of stuff right from the front of this thing. Here, let me get that mic situated. Okay, so here we go. Here's the Lincoln 2 Plus with the factory mic. It's about 8 watts or so. With voice, it does almost 50 watts PEP on AM. Not always, but a little bit. You know, it pops up there. Here's how it looks there. So it looks really good, but it has some good punchy audio. You know, these do pretty good. But again, that's with an 8 watt carrier. So what's it going to do if we lower that carrier down? Let's see. Here's 12 o'clock. Let's see what that's going to do. They really don't start lowering until you get to the latter half, to about in this range. Don't know why that is, but it's just the design of the control. Let's try it at 4 watts and see. There's 4 watts. Okay, so at 4 watts, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, check, check. Still does really good. There's a really good sound to it. And then all the way down. A lot of guys like that because with it all the way down, it still takes off a little bit. And yes, there is a little bit of the overshoot and stuff like that. That's why you see a higher power number at times. But I mean, let's be honest, some guys like that, you know. It makes the hobby fun. So a couple watt dead key. And you can see every once in a while the kind of power number that it does. So, you know, some of the newer ones don't do this kind of stuff, and that's why some guys, I think, prefer the little bit older design. You know, it's a really good, solid board. These have been out for a long time, so, you know, but these are new stock. You know, they just flat out work. So, SSB on this one, we'll leave the power down. So if you leave your power down, obviously your power is much less, as you can see there. So you can fully control it. Here's 12 o'clock. So at 12 o'clock it does a little more power, and then all the way up it does about 35 watts max. And these are kind of tamed down on sideband. If you crank that control up inside, it gets really, really dirty and really nasty, so you don't want to do that. So again, I think I listed all this on my website for the expected power numbers and stuff like that. You know, you can go in there and crank it up, but you know, then you're gonna run into problems. That's how you blow up amplifiers and stuff, because these radios are very untamed on sideband if you crank those controls up. So don't do that, and you'll be fine. So RMS power, you know, it's more manageable. Is that as far as that goes? Here's AM with the power all the way up. This is RMS, so it's not a big RMS radio. Hello radio, but it does a little bit. You know, you can tell it's clean. If you're seeing triple or quadruple the RMS, that's a problem for some people. You know, some people don't mind it, but you know, it's just a good sounding radio. So let me see if I can bring up the really quick the two-tone on this, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Okay, this is our two-tone, so it looks pretty good, nice and rounded. There's a little test I like to do over here. It's about 23, somewhere in there, so that looks pretty good too. You have to use a little bit different tone on these radios to make them show a good two-tone, but as you can see, everything is linear. What you see on the lower sideband, you also see on the upper sideband, and everything is, you know, where it should be. A lot of the stuff is way down below zero, so that's a good sign. And you know, it's just a good talking radio, good receiving little radio. Maybe not be, you know, as good as like a full-on HF radio, but that's to be expected for the price. So, you know, some guys I think expect too much in some cases out of the, you know, radios that are more affordable to us in the hobby. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you have one of those big fancy expensive radios like a lot of us probably do, then, you know, these aren't going to compare, but they still are fun to use, and I think that's why we still like them. All right, thanks a lot. 73.